Good morning, wives. Good morning. Y'all probably like, Coach T, it's gonna rain. Coach T, it's gonna rain. What are you doing up this early? I know. I got a busy day today, so I had to start early. So most of y'all probably are still sleeping. By the time I get this message, I'll be already done moved on to my next client. But good morning. Happy self-care Saturday. Baby, when it hit you like that, you know you are right. You know you're in a good place. So I may not have many of you join me this early in the morning because it is pretty early. I have a session as early as 8:15, 8:30-ish. Good morning. Oh, there's one of you. Good morning. I know it's super duper early. This is why I don't give times, because I don't be want to held captive to nothing. Because I just never know. But I wanted to come on really, really fast and share a quick word with you. It may sting a little bit. It may sting a little. Good morning. There's someone else. Good morning. Y'all early birds, huh? I'll be the one that's late then. I see people do be up this time of the morning. Hi. Listen. Okay. Well, I got a few of you guys on here. That's good. I am I'm starting early because I got a long day this morning. That I'm trying to be finished with by 12. So I needed to come on early and share this message with you. You know, sometimes when I have sessions and I talk to people and I sit and, do my devotion and do time with God, I really don't know what I'm going to, talk about really until probably about the day before or early morning. But this week has been very, very interesting, speaking with some of my clients and, really hearing the voice of God and really, just hearing his heart about some things. And I thought today we would talk about how long should I stand on this marital stand? Like how long I should be doing this for? How long this thing's supposed to last? Like how long is this thing supposed to be going on like this? How long, Lord, am I supposed to stand? And so of course I'm going to start off with some very strong and heavy stuff. So I can just get it on out the way. I won't be Coach T if I wouldn't do that. So I'm actually going to go ahead and just pray now and do the introduction. And then we just jump in from there. All right. So Father, we bless you on this morning, God. Lord, thank you for this beautiful day, God. Thank you, Jesus, for strength in our body, God. Thank you, God, for just your breath that breathed throughout our lungs, God. Thank you for watching over us during the night and keeping us, Jesus. I pray, Lord God, now in your son Jesus' name, that you would touch the wife that needs to hear this message, God. I pray that this word bring forth confirmation and revelation and change. I pray for wives to make a decision to do something about their situations on today, God. In your son Jesus' precious blood, Lord, may you cover this message, God. May there be no backlash. May this word go forth and do what it was sent out to do on today in the mighty name of Jesus. I pray and ask these saints in Jesus' name. Amen. So, my name is Coach T. I am a certified Christian mental health wife coach. My areas of expertise is underneath marriage, faith, and behavioral health. I coach wives who are married to husbands or who are in marriages that are toxic, referencing abandonment, adultery, and addictions. That is the area, and those are the toxic areas that I that I coach wives in. I try to help wives to navigate, get through, overcome some of their mental and emotional distress that is caused in that unhealthy marriage. Try to really help wives to understand that there is a healthier way to do marriage. There is a healthier way, even if your spouse is not in agreement or is not doing what he's supposed to be doing. There is a healthier way for you to do marriage. And one of the reasons why I try to really help wives to navigate through some of this mental and emotional distress is so that it does not lead to their physical health. All right. A lot of times these wives are being tested. They have been on assignment. God has given them specific instructions to stand for this unhealthy marriage, to stand for this man who just is all over the place. He's cheating. He's doing things. He's not home. He's drinking. He's doing drugs. He's non-compliant in the marriage covenant at all. He's not doing nothing that he's supposed to do as a husband. He's kind of like all over the place. And so a lot of times these wives are having really hard time trying to understand why. Like, why would God even ask me to do something like this, knowing that this man is not in his right state of mind? Like, why would God even ask me to, pursue this type of marriage? But there is a reason. All right. And so that's what I do as far as helping wives get to that place. Originally I was aiming more towards the wives who were dealing with husbands with addictions, specifically alcohol addictions. But over time, over the years, as I've been, working my business and speaking with wives, I've noticed that this is not just an area of addiction, but it's also addiction, abandonment, and adultery. And so I really try to help wives to kind of gather their mind, get their mind back, get their thoughts back, bounce back and get to a better place. And try to understand why they are in this position and what God is trying to show them or what God is trying to do with them. All right. So I want to start off by saying this. This is the strong part, y'all. So I want you to, brace yourself because, like I said, I've had a few sessions. I've been real busy this week. Praise Jesus. And so I just want to just point this part out. I want to start off by saying that the other woman, wives, the other woman is a distraction. I know that's something that I tell you guys all the time. The other woman, I don't even like to discuss her. I don't talk about her because she is not important. She is not important. And too many wives are focusing on the other woman. She is not important. Okay? Stop focusing on the other woman. The other woman is a distraction. She is a distraction, okay? And so, of course, sure, psychologically, mentally, emotionally, it's disturbing. It's very, very, very hard to deal with as a wife who, is watching her husband, leave the house, go and be with another woman, interested in another woman, talking to another woman. Of course, and that is very, very disturbing. Of course, mentally and emotionally, that can do something to you. It's very, very hard to deal with, okay? And this is why I feel like wives have to be very, 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 very certain and very, very clear that they have been called to this specific role, that they have been called to this specific assignment. Because I do not, and I stand on that. I do not believe everyone is called to stand or stay in a unhealthy marriage. I do not feel like that's for everybody, okay? Wives have to know this is what God specifically told her. Wives have to be very, very certain that this is what God has called her to. Once she is certain that she knows, this is what God has called her to, the next thing after that is she needs to get connected to have accountability for what it is that God has called her to do. She needs accountability because there is no way in your own natural mind that you're going to be able to handle this type of distress in your own strength. There is no way you're going to be able to handle this. Oh, I'm just going to read my Bible. I'm just going to just pray about it. No, it ain't going to make sense. You need the Bible, you need prayer, and you need somebody to talk to. Okay? You need somebody to talk to because this stuff is not going to make sense. Wives have to understand. Wives have to understand. If you have been chosen for this assignment and God has called you to this and you have made a decision to say yes on this assignment, you have to understand the moment you say yes, you are now held accountable for stewarding yourself well. God now holds you accountable for stewarding yourself well. In spite of the hardship, in spite of what is happening, in spite of what is going on. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more later, okay? Let me repeat that. Once you have made a decision, once you are very, very sure, you're very, very certain that this is what you're supposed to be doing, you now have a responsibility to steward yourself well. Just because you are going through hardship in your marriage, your husband is cheating, your husband is doing drugs, your husband is doing alcohol, your husband's not coming home, your husband's staying gone 2 and 3 and 4 nights at a time. Just because your husband not paying the bills, your husband not supporting you with the kids, your husband, whatever he's not doing. When you say, okay, God, I am going to stand for my marriage, I am going to go along with this assignment, you have to understand God is now holding you accountable to steward yourself well. He is holding you accountable to stewarding yourself well. Okay? Next, there is a price to pay when you, wife, are disobedient to your assignment. There is a price to pay when you are disobedient to your assignment. So I go back to what I said in the beginning. If you're not super, super duper sure if this is something that you're supposed to be doing, you need to make sure that this is something that you're supposed to be doing. Because once you start this and then you start doing something different or start doing things in your own way, there is a price to pay for disobedience. The price to pay for disobedience, one of those prices is called delay. Delay. All right? Delay. Altered seasons. Your progress being held up. Okay? And a lot of wives are holding up their progress because they refuse to do what God has called them to do. They refuse to do what God has called them to do. God don't always necessarily give you the entire story in the beginning. He gives you the promise. He says, I need you to stand for this marriage. If you stand for this marriage, I am going to bring salvation to your husband. I am going to restore your marriage. Whatever the promise he made to you. He does not give you the journey. He don't give you the details of the journey. He gives you the beginning and he gives you the end. Everything in between is the journey that you have to take to get to that promise. Okay? So the results people are having are coming up short. They're coming up short if everything is coming up negative. But they have to understand, wife, if you are not pursuing your assignment and you are not doing what it is that God has asked you to do, or I think I heard Pastor Darius say this before too. He said, being, what is the word he used? Oh my goodness, I can't think of the word he used. But basically he was just saying it costs to not be without wisdom or knowledge. There is a price to pay if you are not aware of certain things. So let's just say, well, I didn't know I was supposed to be doing that. Or I didn't know that, I was doing this wrong. That is a price that you are paying because you are not knowledgeable about what it is. So many wives are trying to get to the finish line of, I want my husband back. I want my husband back home. When they're not seeking to understand What does this assignment really entails? What does this process really look like? What is it that God is really asking of me? All they hear is God saying, I'm going to restore your marriage. And so because they hearing God say, I'm going to restore your marriage, they're trying to quickly get to the restoration of their marriage. But there's something that God wants you to learn on this journey. When you are holding up your process, when you are being disobedient, when you are not doing what God has called you to do, the results of that is the people, the family members, including your husband, that God has called you to, that God has, assigned to you, they are falling apart or possibly dying because of your lack of doing or pursuing what it is that God has called you to do. Your family members, your household, your husband, people God has assigned you to are falling apart because of your lack of pursuing what it is that God has called you to do. Disobedience is keeping wives stagnant. Disobedience is keeping wives stuck. Disobedience is holding up your progress. You say it's hard, it hurts, it's not fair. What about him? How he getting away with this? How he get to do this? Why God not saying nothing to him? I'm supposed to really submit to this. I'm supposed to really do this. I'm supposed to follow through with that. I can't say nothing. While you doing all that, the clock is ticking. Now, I'm not sitting here and saying that you are not supposed to acknowledge how you feel. You absolutely are supposed to acknowledge how you feel. I'm not sitting here and saying to you what's happening to you is fair. Most of the time, when you're dealing with this type of crisis, because that's what it is, it's not fair. What I'm saying is you need to get wisdom, get knowledge, get understanding, figure out the why. You need to follow through with God and see what is it that you're trying to show me on this on this journey. What in the world have I signed up for? Okay? It's imperative that you understand that. So it's hard, it hurts, it's not fair. Those are all excuses. Okay? God has a schedule. He has a specific schedule that he has scheduled for your life. He has a specific schedule that he has scheduled for your life. And there are things taking place at certain times that he needs you to be healed and ready for. He needs you to be healed and ready for. And too many wives are kind of like taking their time on this. I don't know. I'm good today. I ain't good today. I want to do this. I don't want to do this. You sure? No, maybe I need a break. Too many wives are doing that. And they doing that same cycle. And they having that same walk. And they're going around that same mountain. And they're doing that 11-day journey that was supposed to be on 11 days. Come on. We back in Egypt now. That 11-day journey that was supposed to be on 11 days. All right. And they end up being there with what? Way longer than God anticipated for them to be. All right. This is why, wives, it's so important for you to be aware of the timing of God. The timing of God is very, very, very vital for you on this journey. I go back to saying you need to be able to be in tune with God. You need to be able to develop and become aware and start perfecting the gifts of the Holy Spirit. The gifts of the Holy Spirit. You need to start perfecting those things. You need to get into a place where you can hear from God. Because if you can't hear from God, then there's no way that he can give you instructions or tell you what it is that you need to do. Okay? It's important. The timing of God is important. And you need to know where you are on your journey. One of the questions I ask my wife clients, every time I speak with them, every time I have a session with them, every time I work with them, there are 4 questions I ask them every single time we have a session, we have a sit down, we have a talk. Those questions are, where are you? where are you, wife? Where are you? Okay? Where do you want to be? Where do you want to be? How are you working towards getting to that place? How are you working towards getting to that place? Okay? And the biggest one, what is keeping you from getting to that place? What is keeping you from getting to that place? Wise, timing is everything on this journey. Timing is everything on this journey, okay? Your process is part of God's plans for your life. Not just your marriage, not for your children, not for your husband, for your life. Your process is part of God's plans for your life. You don't get to the promise without going through the process. Okay? And that's why God don't tell us what the process is. Because if he told us what the process was, he know we won't do it. He know we won't do it. So you don't get to the promise without the process. The provision God's have for your life requires a process. And guess what the process is? Your marriage injury is part of your process. Your marriage injury is part of your process. That is part of your process. The pain, the uncomfortableness, the disagreements, the shame, the hurt, all that is part of your process. And so until you come out of your rebellions, aka doing things your way, you will remain on your stand unsuccessfully. You will stay in a place way longer than God expected you to stay. When you start using words like rebellious, disobedience, people be like, what? Well, I ain't disobedient. I ain't rebellious. If you're not doing what God has asked you to do, after you have already said yes to this assignment, and you're not following pursuit and doing it, you are being disobedient. You are rebelling against God. And God is a very, 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 very patient God. So he will allow you to go around that journey as long as you need to. He will allow you to go around that block however many times you need to go around that block. He will allow you to keep bumping your head. He will allow the pain to keep happening. He will allow for things to get worse. He will allow for you to see all types of things because you won't mind your business. You all over there in that man's stuff. Okay, you won't mind your business. You all on Facebook and social media looking on their page, seeing what they got going on. You won't mind your business. You driving by the girl house. Okay, you won't mind your business. You telling him that he need to get his life together. Your life, you going straight to hell because you acting all kind of crazy. You won't mind your business. You doing all these types of things, and God is like, all right, cool. We can do this however long you want to do this. However long it take. But you gotta understand. You are altering your season. You are holding yourself up on this. You are keeping yourself in Egypt. Okay? And if you're not willing to do what God is requiring you to do on this journey, I just say, just go ahead. Go to one of those little mattress places and get you a nice little, bed. Go ahead and set up shop. Find you somewhere, real comfortable because you're going to be there. You're going to be in Egypt. You're going to be in that same place. You're going to stay in that place and you're going to stay there. I can guarantee you that. I can guarantee you that. And wives don't like to hear stuff like that. Wives want to hear, encourage me, feed me, give me all the nice gooey stuff that, that God is saying. Give me the ending story. And that's fine. We can encourage. I can encourage, but it does me no good to just keep on encouraging you and I don't tell you the truth. It don't do me no good to encourage you and I don't call you out on this. You wife said yes to this. So since you said yes to this, then now you have an obligation. God is holding you accountable to it. And so not because it has gotten hard, now you're saying, I don't want to do it no more. I don't want to do this. I don't really want to do this. And you have that right. Because every wife know their limits. Every wife have a certain limitation. Every wife know what they can and cannot do. You have that choice. You have the choice to make whatever decision you decide that you want to do on this stand. It does not change God's mind about what he came to you and asked you for. It does not change what God has said to you. Just because you say, I don't want to do this no more, I'm tired, I don't want to do this ain't right. That don't change God's mind about it. his mind has not his mind has not changed about this. Okay, he's still holding you accountable to this. He's still holding you accountable to what you said yes to. I think there's somewhere in the Bible that talks about that. It says, you know, it would be better for you to not even make a vow. It would be better for you to not even make a vow than to make a vow and not keep it. So, yeah, that was a lot. That was a lot. So listen, I actually have a busy day today, like I mentioned. And so I wanted to just come on and share a few points with you and answer the question that I left with you guys on last week. And that question is, how do a good and loving God, a good father, how do a good father ask us to stand for a toxic and unhealthy marriage? How does a good God tell us to stand for this marriage that just ain't nowhere possible, nowhere you can see that this marriage is going anywhere? How does a good father ask us to do that, knowing that possibly we can be mentally, emotionally, and physically disrupted by it, knowing that we can possibly have mental, emotional, and physical health issues by this? Why would he ask us to do that? All right, why would he ask us to do that? And so let me say this. I think I had shared this yesterday on my story on IG, and I said this, and this is going to set a few wives free. The journey of standing for your marriage, okay? The journey of standing for your marriage has more to do with your journey as a Christian. The journey for standing for your marriage has more to do with your journey as a Christian. It does not have much to do with your marriage. Your journey for standing for your marriage has more to do with your Christian life versus your married life. It has more to do with you being a Christian versus you being a wife. Okay? Standing for your marriage will challenge you. It will force you to trust God in ways that you have never had to before. Ever. Ever in life. And the sooner wives get past that part, the sooner they understand that part, it is more easy for them to understand it. It's more and more easy for them to place their faith into this God that we serve. It's more easier for them to process through this journey. Once they have a full understanding that, let me just take my marriage and my husband off the table. Let me just take my husband and my marriage off the table, and let me focus on my relationship with God. All right? I want to address the wives who are first not in a home with their husbands. Okay? I want to talk to those wives for a minute first. Wives, you have to understand, when your husband is not in the home with you, you are in your sweet spot. When your husband is not in the home with you, you are in a sweet spot. This is the time that you should be laboring in prayer, laboring in worship, laboring in scripture, laboring and studying, laboring and working on. This is the time that you should be working on you. This is a time where your relationship with God and you should be developing, getting better, improving. This is the time where you're supposed to be learning. This is the time when you're supposed to be investing. This is the time when you should be doing all those things that prioritize you. This is that time. Okay? The wives who are not in the homes with their husband, this is a sweet opportunity for you. And though it looks really bad because of what he got going on, what he doing, what they doing, how they hanging out, what they doing, we used to do that, he don't do that, he don't call his kids, he don't check on his kids, it's wrong. We're going to talk about that part in a minute, okay? When your husband is not in the home, wife, you are in the sweetest place on this journey. I can guarantee you that. I'm gonna use my Denzel guarantee today. Now, statistics says or shows that the average time for a person to be separated from their spouse is up to 2 years with the possibility of reconciliation. Okay? However, statistics also shows or says 3 years or more usually confirms that marriage will not reconcile and the couple will divorce. Okay? So basically the system, the world's view, the world's way is cutting your time short. Basically, the world is saying if nothing happens in 2 years or less, your marriage is doomed. Your marriage is doomed. If in 2 years y'all haven't figured this thing out, if in 2 years y'all haven't got this thing together, that marriage is doomed. That marriage is doomed. Now, I would add to that and say, if you are not doing your stand correctly, then statistics could probably be right. So statistics could probably be right. If you're not fully doing your stand the correct way, statistics may have a point. They may have a point. Okay? I have this one client, every time I get on the phone with her, she's like, am I doing this right? Am I doing this right? Am I doing this right? I'm like, everything is trial and error, ma'am. Everything is trial and error. However, there are certain things that you should be doing, and then there are certain things that you should not be doing. I'm not going to get into detail with that part right now, but there are certain things that you should be doing on this stand, and there are certain things that you should not be doing, okay? Not going to get into that right now. I want to go back to the statistics number. Now, God is a good father. God is a great God. God is a miraculous God. He can do anything. And like I shared with you earlier, he will allow you to go around that journey go around that mountain as long as how many of the times that you need to go around that. He will allow you to go around that place over and over and over and over and over again until you get it right. He will. Okay? But you have to know all these things are altering your season. All these things are altering your season, altering your time. There is a right way to stand for your marriage, and a lot of marriages end because the ones God has chose to carry their marriage across are hindered or interrupted on their process because they're not willing to do the necessary work. They're not willing to go through the fire. They're not willing to go through the process. They're letting their ego get in the way. They're letting their emotions get in the way. They cannot release their husband. They don't want to set boundaries with this husband. They want to keep on having sex with this husband. They want to, let the other woman know that you're not going to have my husband. They want to prove that they are right. Ma'am, you're holding your own self up. Instead of just releasing him. Very easily said than done. Very easy said than done. But it comes a point when you have to make a decision. All this journey is making a decision. All this journey is about being intentional. Good morning. All this journey is about you being intentional. Okay? If you want to have go back to what the statistics say, quote unquote, that 2-year journey or less, somewhere in that 2-year frame or less, you need to know how to do this the correct way. You need to learn how to do this the right way. You need to know how to do this the appropriate way. Now, I will go on further to say, if you're standing for your marriage and it's been over 3 years, you need a checkup. You might need to check in with yourself. You might need to check in on your marriage. You might need to see what's going on. You need to get some clarity on what you're doing. You need to see what's working, what's not working. You need to see, like, God, is it something that I missed? Is it something that I was supposed to be doing? Because I hear a lot of wives say, well, I've been sinning for 3 years. I've been sinning for 5 years. I've been sinning for 6 years. And nothing has happened yet. Nothing has happened yet? You've been doing this for 5 years and nothing has happened? No, something has happened. Something has happened. Somewhere down the line, you have walked out of the will of God. Somewhere down the line, you have turned the wrong corner. Somewhere down the line, you have let God's hand go. Somewhere down the line, you have said, I ain't doing this no more. I'm taking my hands off of this, but I'm going to go do what I want to do. Somewhere down the line, you say, you know what? If he out here doing what he want to do, I'm going to talk to people too, because I'm a dime piece. I'm fine. I'm cute. I can get a man too. No. Stop this. Okay? So many wives are making these excuses like, you know what? I'm just standing and trusting the Lord. I'm just standing and trusting the Lord. But what you doing about it? Because that is part of this journey does require you to do something. Faith without works is dead. You can say all day long that you trust in the Lord, you trust in the Lord, you trust in the Lord. But if you ain't doing nothing about that, that don't mean nothing. That don't mean nothing. God will check in with you. God will give you new instructions. God will tell you. God will say. God ain't gonna just be keeping you on a place like this unless you're not learning something, unless you're not getting what you're supposed to get, unless you're not doing what it is you're supposed to, unless you are in rebellious, unless you are being disobedient, unless you are being messy, unless your hands is in something else. Come on, Jesus. You ain't just out here just like, oh, I'm just standing out here for all these years and I'm just trusting the Lord. And God not saying nothing to you? No, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. Because my Father talks to me. And this is why I always tell wives, it's important for you to know his voice. It's so important for you to be able to hear from God. It's so important that you be able to discern his spirit. You need to know how to reach God. You need to know how to communicate with God. Because if you don't, and you out here, oh, I'm still standing for my marriage. You still standing for what had happened? What you doing about it? You still standing, so what you doing? Because God didn't say nothing? My marriage was supposed to be reconciled a year and a half prior to what it was. It was supposed to be reconciled a year before then. But I dropped the ball on that thing big time. I went completely left. I mean, my husband was at the door. 1 foot in the house, 1 foot out. And I messed that whole thing up. And the Lord said, you gotta start over. You gotta start over. Wives got to stop using this excuse as, oh, well, you know, I've been standing and I've been standing on this and nothing has happened. No, ma'am. No, you need to do a check-in. Okay? You need to do a check-in. So if you've been standing on your marriage journey for 3 years or more, I'm talking about wives. I'm not talking about divorced wives who are still trusting and believing God to repair their marriage. I'm not talking about those wives. I'm talking about you are still fully connected and married to this person. Y'all are still husband and wife. And you've been standing for your marriage over 3 years. You need to check in. You need a consultation. You need to talk about that. You need to get some things going, because as long as if you just letting this thing just sit, and nothing is happening, nothing is moving, guess what? Nothing has happened, nothing is moving. The longer he's out there, the longer he's doing those things, as long as he, as long as he's out there, is just further and 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 further apart. God said, I'm trying to get something to you, but there is a part that you play in this. Good morning. I'm trying to get something to you, but there is a part that you play in this. Now, if your husband is inside the home, and he's acting a straight nut, a straight monkey, a straight fool, okay? He's living a completely different and separate life from you. That is not called standing. If you and your husband reside in the same home, whether he's in the bedroom or across the hall, whether he's downstairs or, in another room, but y'all stay in the same home, that is not considered standing. Him being in the home and you guys having your difficulties is not considered standing. Y'all are separated. Y'all are just separated inside the home. Okay? Y'all are separated. Okay? Y'all are separated and y'all are living 2 separate lives, doing 2 separate things. All right? The only difference is he come home at night. The only difference is he take a shower there. The only difference is he lay his head on his pillow. The only difference is he got a key, he open up the door, and he come on in. He might come on in and don't speak to you, but he come on in. Okay? Now, I'm not trying to downplay neither one of them. Okay? Both of them are hard. Both of them are extremely hard. And I've said before, I think it's harder. In my opinion, I think it's harder for the husband to be in the home and you guys are living a separate life versus him being outside of the house and you standing. Him being in the home and you get to see your husband every single day and he ain't talking to you and you know he talking to somebody else and he mistreating you and he ain't saying nothing to you and the kids and he doing his own thing. That is torture. That is torture. Okay? And a lot of couples live many years like this. And this is where the rubber meets the road. Because this is a problem. This is a problem. Jesus, this is a problem. Because that is hard. That is very, very hard. You talking about mentally messed up, emotionally messed up? Oh, yeah. That is very, very challenging. And it plays a huge role on your mental and emotional health. A huge role. See, because when the husband is outside of the house, you have the option to have peace. You have the option. You have the option to have peace. You have the option to choose. You have the option to have hope. You have the option to do your work. You have options when he's outside of the house. But when he is inside of the home and you praying and you ain't seeing nothing, you praying and he getting worse. You praying, ain't no changes happen. Baby, that's when your real faith have to kick in. That's when your real faith have to kick in. If you've been living that way in your home with your husband for 3 years or more, and your spouse and you have consistently, not saying, oh, we was good today, or we had sex last week, or we talked last year around this time. No, if y'all have been like that consistently for 3 years or more, living the same way with no changes, you need a new strategy. You need a new plan. Because what you doing ain't working no more. Oh, I've been going to church. I meet with my church group, and my ladies, we sit and we pray together, and I worship, and I'm studying the scripture and stuff. And listen, Coach T wants you to study the scripture because you need to know the scripture. But if you're not applying what you're studying, because somewhere in the scriptures it tells you about you having to do your work. Somewhere in the scripture it talks about keep knocking, keep asking, keep going to God. Somewhere in this scripture, it tells you faith without works is dead. It tells you those things. So I'm not saying that you should stop doing those things. What I'm saying is you need another strategy. Do not sit dormant in that same spot over and over and year after year after year. Unless you are okay with being that way. Now, if you're okay with being that way, then that's different. This is too hard. I just want to just live my life. I got me a good job. I can just, get up and just go to work. I can go and hang out with my girlfriend. I can travel how I want to. I ain't gonna be dealing with that man. I'm not gonna let this man worry my nerves. I'm not gonna deal with that man. He paying the bills. As long as he paying the bills and he doing what he's supposed to do, I'm not gonna worry about this. But I can go to lunch with my girlfriends. I can go buy my nice bag. I can go and get my favorite, color pair of shoes. I can still do me. Like, I'm not gonna do this. If I want something, I can go over there and get some if I want some, but I ain't gonna be trying to I can't change him. No, you cannot. No, you cannot. You cannot change that man. But I can guarantee you, God want to change you. I can guarantee you, God want to do something in you, and you are unwilling to do those things. Okay? There's a problem wiping the foundation. If y'all sitting in that house together for 3+ years and ain't nothing changed, something is going on. And God didn't say nothing to you. God didn't give you no kind of indicator. God didn't talk to you on your soul and say, hey, I need you to work on this, or hey, I need you to do this. God ain't did none of that. No, something ain't right. Something ain't right. Now, it's one thing to be in that place and, y'all good today, everything good. We go for 6 months and then boom, we mad again. All right, we good today, everything good. All right, we good. And then boom, we mad again. And then that cycle keeps going on year after year after year after year after year. That has to be broken in the name of Jesus. Somebody has to surrender to the will of God. You don't surrender to the will of God, you sit in that place. And I've seen a lot of people die. Living that type of life because they refuse to surrender their life. They refuse to surrender their will. They refuse to go all the way in with God. They was content with, mediocre. They was content with living their life like that. They was content with, oh, well, it ain't so bad. I got my little retirement money. I'm going to retire in a couple years. I can still travel and go where I want to. My grandkids come over and, we get to travel and, go to trips or whatever. Now, he don't go with us. He just be sitting over there in that room and stuff. But, it's okay. He paid the bills. The house is paid for and stuff. We fine. Come on, ma'am. There has to be more to life than that. It has to be, you have to have more that you want out of life than that. Okay? Being complacent and comfortable as roommates, that's a problem. That's a problem. And if you don't see that as being a problem, something is wrong. Okay? Something is wrong. You need to address the elephant in the room. You need to address the hard stuff. Okay? I always say, out of sight, out of mind. You can mentally and emotionally deal with a husband better when he's on the outside, because you don't got to see his foolery. You don't got to see that mess. You don't got to entertain that foolery. Okay? So mentally and emotionally, you can deal with, you can deal with that better. All right? He's on the outside. You can get, you set your healthy boundaries. Set some healthy boundaries. Set some healthy boundaries. Too many wives are too comfortable allowing their husbands to go in and out, come backwards and forward. No, ma'am. Then that's what y'all gonna do for the rest of your life. He don't have a reason to come home. If you gonna let him play monkey see, monkey do, if you gonna let him go come, why would he say, okay, I'm gonna come home? My husband had tried that. I say, you know how they say sometimes when, you in jail, you have jail talk. Well, he was in a hospital, so he was having hospital talk. And he was like, I really think that we should, try to like do things slow. He's like, sometimes I come over there, and visit you and the kids. And then, sometimes I can come over to my place and visit me. And in my mind, as he was saying this thing, I said, no, we not. In my mind, I ain't said out loud to him, but in my mind, I had already knew, sir, I'm not doing that. What you mean? What do you mean I'm going to come see you? You're going to come see me and we have a whole house together. Your name is on this mortgage too, sir. I'm not going to do that with you. Okay? So I always feel like, wives need to consider that. You need to consider that. If you allow this man to keep going and coming, he's not going to have a reason to stay. He's not going to have a reason to stay. Now, am I telling you to push him away? No, I am not. But I am telling you to set some boundaries. I am telling you to guard your heart. I am telling you to respect your journey so you can get to where you want to be. Don't take a temporarily fix and settle for something temporarily when God is trying to give you, he's trying to give you the whole thing. He wants you to have the whole thing. Okay? When your husband is inside of the home and he's acting a fool, you need more than willpower. You need God's power. You need God's power. Okay? So I go back to the question I asked you earlier. How do a good and loving God ask me to stand for this toxic marriage? Like, why would a God who knows this thing can cause me mental issues, emotional issues, physical issues, why will he ask me to do this? Okay? And the first answer to that is accepting that what he's asking you to do is not normal. What God is asking you to do is not normal. God is not telling you that you need to accept this toxic circumstances, this toxic matter. He's not telling you that you need to accept this. He's not telling you that, this is just how it is. You got to just go along with it. No. The first thing you have to understand, wife, is this is not normal. It is not normal, okay? And once that you accept that this is not normal, you will understand that this is definitely a God thing and not a you thing. There's no way possible that I can be okay with my husband laying up with another woman. And I'm supposed to be like, oh, okay, I'm going to stand for my marriage. That's not normal. Okay? It's not normal. All right? So you have to first understand and accept that this is not normal. So because this is not normal, God has his hands in this. This is not something that you're going to be able to do in your own strength. That's why wives got to understand that you will not be able to do this stand successfully without God. Trying to do this stand without God, let me even add this part, because God give people to you to help you. Trying to do this stand without God, you will not be successful. Trying to do this stand without people that he has placed on your journey to help you, you will not be successful. Okay? You have been called and selected to do this. You have been called and selected to do this, but you won't be able to do it without God's help. So, let's go back to Egypt. All right, let's go back to Egypt. The children of Israel had no possible way. They had no possible way of knowing how they would exit out of Egypt once Pharaoh had released them. He released them, and now they were being chased by Pharaoh's men. Like, all right, now we on the run, okay? How could they have possibly known what God was going to do next? How could they have possibly known what was coming, okay? Then, after all that took place, God then takes them the longer route, okay? He takes them the longer route, but they had no idea how they was going to get through this. Can you imagine the anxiety, the trauma, the experiences that they could possibly have been dealing with? Could you imagine the PTSD that they was dealing with? Could you imagine what was going on through their mind psychologically? Could you imagine their mental state of mind? Could you imagine how they felt emotionally with all these different things that was taking place with them? Could you imagine the up down things that they was dealing with while they was on this, doing this process? Could you imagine, like, not knowing what's next? We went from living this way for all these years, being this way. My marriage went from being great to being, perfect, to being this, that, and now we here at this place. Could you imagine all that's now taken away from you, snatched away from you, ripped in pieces? You don't know what's going to happen from day to day. And now all of a sudden, physically, these people were exhausted. They were exhausted. So if you go back to read Exodus, starting in the book of chapter 14, what was God trying to do with them? Hadn't they gone through enough? What was it that he was trying to do to them? Spiritually, they had no other option but to trust him. Spiritually, it was like, God, you because you said it, all right, I'm going to do it. They had no choice. They had no choice. Like, what other options did they have? Spiritually, they didn't have no choice. They had no other choice. But that does not take away the trauma. That does not take away the anxiety. That does not take away the memory. That does not take away the bitterness. That does not take away the anger. That does not necessarily take away the pain. Spiritually, sometimes you just do things because you just have to do it. It's like, ain't no other way this gonna work but through God. So therefore, God, okay, we gotta just do what you want us to do. Just do it your way. But it does not take away that you are still probably dealing with something through that process and about that process. Okay, these people were going through a storm. This is what you call a storm. Okay, they was grumpy. They was complaining. They was saying all kinds of things. Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you be complaining? Wouldn't you be grumpy? How do a good loving God ask us to stand for a toxic marriage that could possibly cause us our mental health, our emotional health, our physical health? Why? And how could he ask us to do something like this? Like, this don't even make no sense, God. God asks us to do these types of things because he knows what he has given us. He knows what he has placed on the inside of us. And that thing he has placed on the inside of us needs to develop. He knows that if I ask you to do this, you're going to depend on me. If I ask you to do this, you're going to have to trust me. If I ask you to do this, you're going to have to come to me for help. If I ask you to do this, you're going to be trained. You're going to be able to allow me to train you and to teach you. If I ask you to do this, you're going to develop that thick skin. If I ask you to do this, I'm preparing you. I'm equipping you. I'm giving you something so much greater than just your marriage. I am giving you a key to the kingdom. I am giving you an opportunity to come work for me. I'm giving you an opportunity to witness to others about how great and good your God is. Come on, Jesus. I am giving you an opportunity to shine for me. So I'm asking you to do something that seems impossible, because the Bible talks about with man, this seemed impossible, but with God, all things are possible. So I'm allowing you to go through this situation knowing that you may have these types of things, because I know you're going to come to me for counsel. I know you're going to come to me because you're going to have questions. I know I got certain people that I have already placed on this journey for you to help you. I already know what I have placed on the inside of you. I have something for you. I'm going to develop it. I'm going to get you to that place, and we're going to be moving out of Egypt. We're moving out of Egypt. This journey, wife, is not about your marriage. It is not. It is not. This journey is about your relationship with God. This is what the marriage restoration journey is about. Okay? This is what it's about. Wife, either way it goes, God is going to hold you accountable. Whether you sit there and be like, I ain't doing this, I don't want to do it. Okay, all right, God, I got time. Do you? I got time. Do you got time like I got time? Either way it goes. Okay, you get to choose. You get to choose. You get to choose how this go for you. Marriage, this standing for your marriage. This is not about your husband. This is not about your marriage. This is about your relationship with God. Why? The sooner wives get that. So that's why, one of the questions I always ask wives, like, what's your motive behind your stand? What's your motive behind your stand? Because if you were coming in with the wrong motive, turn back around, exit left, ma'am. Turn back around and exit left. This is not going to work for you. This marriage, this stand is not about your marriage. It's about your relationship with God. Okay? And guess what? God holds you accountable, wife, for stewarding yourself well. You do not get a pass to be depressed, to be lack. Oh, I ain't going today. I'm going to sleep in the dark. I don't want to eat. Oh my God, he didn't call today. You don't get that pass. You don't get a pass to just be lack on this. God says your body is a representation of my temple. Your body, your life is not your own. And once you say yes to me, guess what? I now am in control of this. And so because I am in control of this now, because so many people think that, well, God give us free will, God give us free will. Good morning. And yeah, he give you free will. And I say to a certain extent. Once you say yes to this, God is holding you accountable, ma'am. You don't get to just lay in the bed and sleep in the dark. You don't get to just, I'm having a mental breakdown. Why? Go get some help then. Go talk to somebody. Oh my God, it's just so hard. Life is so hard. Life is hard. Go talk to somebody. Oh my God, I just can't do this. I can't believe that God just let him get away with this. Ma'am, get your mind off of your husband and get focused on God. Because as long as you're focusing on your husband, who really needs your help, as long as you're focusing on those things, guess what? Your relationship with God, what's going on with you and God is just sitting dormant. It ain't going nowhere. It ain't going nowhere. Did you know that your poor mental health makes you more vulnerable to heart disease, stroke, type 2 diabetes? Why? You got to take care of yourself on this journey. You got to learn the healthier way to take care of yourself. Good mental health helps you to have a more positive outlook and enjoy your life more better. You can't keep on saying, I'm reading my Bible. I'm reading my Bible. I've been praising and worship. Or I've been praying and fasting. You do those things. You do those things and you talk to somebody too. Okay? Your emotional health. It's about how you feel and how you think. How well you cope with life. How are you coping with your emotions? Are you just like, I'm going to just tuck mine on in. I ain't gonna talk about this today. I'm gonna just tuck mine in. I'm gonna just tuck mine in. I don't want to talk about that. No, that's too painful to talk about. I don't want to discuss that. No, I haven't got to that place yet. I want to talk about that. You need to talk about it. Because this is what the enemy is using to take you down physically. This is what the enemy is using to take you down physically. If you have chosen to stand for your marriage and you're living inside your home with your spouse, separated, you are definitely experiencing some mental and emotional distress. If you are separated from your husband is not in the home, and you have not got to that place and have not realized that you are in your sweet place, you are definitely experiencing some mental and emotional distress. I can guarantee it. I can guarantee it. Okay? If this is your case, ma'am, if this is your case and you're not talking about this, you need to talk to someone. You need to release that pressure. You need to release some of that stuff that you're dealing with. You are setting yourself up for physical health declination. Your health is going pew. Because you know what? Well, God said he got it. God, I'm going to just keep praising and worship. I'm going to just keep going to church every Sunday. I'm going to keep on showing up to my small group and, we're going to have a little Bible time. Good morning. I'm just going to keep on, doing, what I have always learned, my traditional way, how I grew up in church and stuff. Back at home, we went to church and we did this, I did a little communion and all those things are great. All those things are wonderful. But who are you talking to about your pain? Who are you talking to about, those real hard questions? Who are you talking to about let me get to the real stuff. Like, this is jacked up, Coach T. Like, I don't really like this man right now. And I don't really appreciate this. Like, this is real jacked up. I've been a good wife to my husband and I did these things. And for him to go over there, he have the audacity to go and be with this other woman. And I done showed myself this way to him. Yeah, let's talk about that part. Like, look, this is messed up. God, you told me, God, that you was going to do these things and you ain't did these things. I'm mad with God. Let's talk about that part. Stop sugarcoating this stuff. Stop acting like you okay, you ain't okay. Stop being like, oh, all right, I got it, I'm good. You not good. You not good, wife. You not good. And the enemy knows that. And so he's using that against you and he's keeping you in that same spot, in that same space. And guess what? Marital restoration will not be your portion. Egypt will be, though. Egypt will be. God wants to teach you a healthier way to stand for your marriage. God wants to teach wives a healthier way while being separated in the home with their husbands. He wants to teach you another way to how to handle that. Stop thinking just because y'all is there together and we always say we want to get a divorce. Y'all always say y'all want to get a divorce, but y'all living as roommates. I was finna say something. Jesus, it's time to go. Listen, okay? If you wife are ready to do your work, or if you need to talk about this stuff, I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you to sign up for your wife consultation or your grief consultation. You can sign up at my website, www.marriagechroniclesbytanika.com. Listen, how long are you supposed to stand for your marital restoration? How long you supposed to stay on this journey? Based off of statistics and what statistics show, they giving y'all 2 years, okay? They giving y'all 2 years. But God is faithful. God can do exceedingly abundantly more than we can ever think or imagine. Wives got to get out of their own will. They got to get out of their disobedience. They got to get out of their rebellions. They got to get into the will of God and see what it is that God will have them to do and how he will have her to follow pursuit through this, all right? If you need help, I want to encourage you. Sign up at www.marriagechroniclesbytanika.com. Listen, I'm late for my session. Y'all got to go. But I will see you guys on the other side. Y'all enjoy yourselves today. Make sure that y'all have an awesome self-care Saturday. Do something that you enjoy doing. Do something that makes you happy, that makes you great. Don't be just doing something because somebody else said, let's do it. No, do something that you want to do. Okay, stop this. Enjoy your life, not somebody else's life that they want you to have. No, do what you want to do. Do something that you enjoy doing. That's holy. Okay, within the limits of holiness. Don't go out there and do nothing crazy that's going to hinder you and keep you on your journey longer than you're supposed to be. But do something you enjoy doing, all right? I will see y'all on the other side. Blessings.